Method number one for moving from negative emotions to positive emotions is to shift what event we're thinking about. So here I'd like for everybody to do this exercise with me. It's going to take 30 seconds, and I'd like for you to do this. I want you to think about an event in your life where you experienced a loss. Maybe you were growing up and your best friend, when you were in 4th grade, moved to another state and you never got to see that person again. Or maybe you were in a relationship with somebody and the relationship fell apart, a friendship, a dating relationship, a marriage. Or maybe you experienced a loss by losing a loved one, a parent, a grandparent, a sibling, a friend. And what I'd like to ask you to do right now is either write it down or think about it. But what are the emotions that you're experiencing right now when you think about dealing with a loss in your life? So take a few seconds and write down or think about what were the emotions that you were experiencing when you thought about that loss. Okay? All right, now I would like for you to do this. I want you to let go of that thought, and now I want you to think about this. I want you to think about a perfect day that you've had in your lifetime. If you were an athlete in high school or in college, maybe a game that just went perfectly well. Or maybe if you were in theater or in music, where a performance was just outstanding. Or maybe with your family, your children, your spouse, or with your people at work or a work project, where everything went exactly the way that you hoped it would go. For 30 seconds, I want you to think about a perfect day that you've had in your lifetime. And I want you to think about what it felt like as you experienced that perfect day. Okay, now what I'd like to ask you to do is, I'd like for you to write down or think about what are the emotions that you're experiencing when you think about that perfect day. What were the emotions that you were feeling when you thought about that perfect day that you experienced in your lifetime? So take a few seconds, jot those down, or think about those emotions. Okay, now I'd like to ask the group a question. Raise your hand if the emotions that you wrote down or that you thought about were different from the first thinking about a loss to thinking about a perfect day. Did that happen for anybody at all, that you had different emotions as you thought about two different events in your life? Now, this may not seem like a really big deal while we're sitting in this room right here, but I want you to imagine you're back at work. And for some reason, you just have a lot of negative emotions on a given day. And you're taking that negative emotion and you're taking it into a meeting, or you're taking it into a conversation with somebody you work with. It's very, very difficult to maintain excellence when our emotions are at a negative level: doubt, anger, fear, pessimism, frustration. And so what I'm encouraging you to do is, if you find yourself falling into that trap, take a moment and change the thought, the event that you're thinking about, in order to change the emotion that you're having, so that you can then bring in the emotion of resilience and gratitude and optimism and confidence. You may not even realize how your emotions in a given moment affect everyone else in the room, and even affects the performance of what happens after the meeting. But it's there's a tremendous impact. I also encourage you, if you're in a meeting with a group of people and all of a sudden the entire emotion of the room is becoming really negative, I encourage you to pause the meeting and say, wait, let's take a moment and change what we're thinking about. And maybe you recall a time when that group experienced a perfect day, and change the emotion in the room, and then go back to the issue that you're dealing with. So I encourage you, in terms of performing at an excellent level, to consider the impact of changing what you think about in order to change the emotion in the room.